What's the craziest thing that happened at your wedding? My mother, Odalis, never wanted me to marry my fiancé Bari, and she had a list of reasons that changed every week. He was too quiet, his family was not the right kind, he did not earn enough, and then he earned too much, and she said that was suspicious. The real reason was simpler than any of it. Once I married Bari, I would stop needing her the way she wanted to be needed, and my mother needed to be needed more than she needed me to be happy. She spent the whole engagement looking for a crack in us, and when she could not find one, she decided to make one. My bridal shower was at my Aunt Graciella's house, a room full of women, my friends, my cousins, Bari's mother, and his sisters. It was a nice afternoon right up until my mother stood and tapped her glass like she was about to give a sweet toast. Instead, she said, "Before this goes any further, there is something everyone needs to know. Bari is my son. I gave a baby up years ago before I had this one, and it was him, which means my daughter is about to marry her own brother." The room went cold. Somebody's fork hit a plate. Bari's mother, whose name is Sevda, stood up so fast her chair rocked. I could not process a single word of it. My mother stood there wearing a sad, brave face, like she was carrying something heavy for our own good, and she said, "I did not want to say it. I could not let you commit a sin. A mother knows her own child." I said, "That is not possible." She said, "I am so sorry, sweetheart. I have carried this a long time." She had tears ready. She had clearly practiced them in a mirror. Sevda said, "You gave up a son?" And my mother said, "Years ago, yes. And I always knew he was out there. And the moment I met Bari, I felt it." Sevda said, "You felt it." My mother said, "A mother feels these things." The whole shower came apart. Half the women believed her, because why would a mother invent something that ugly? And the other half did not know what to think. And I was standing in the middle of my own party being told the man I loved was my brother. I called Bari. He came right over, and when he walked in, my mother pointed at him and announced to the room, "There he is, my boy." He said, "What is going on?" And I had to be the one to tell him my mother was claiming to be his birth mother. He went gray. He said, "That is insane. I know my mother. She is standing right there." My mother said, "You were adopted, sweetheart. They never told you. It happens all the time." And here is the part that made it worse. Bari did not know every detail of his own early life because his family moved countries when he was small, and some paperwork was lost in the move. And my mother knew that because I had told her. She had chosen her lie on purpose. She had aimed it at the one gap she was sure of. Bari looked shaken. He said, "I was not adopted, was I?" And he looked at Sevda, and for 1 second even Sevda had the flicker of a parent afraid of a secret she did not actually have. My mother saw that flicker and pounced. "See? Even she is not certain. Call off the wedding. I am only trying to protect you both." She was winning. She had the room. She had Bari rattled. She had people whispering about whether the wedding should be postponed. My cousins were crying. Graciela was telling everyone to please sit down. And my mother stood in the center of it looking noble, the martyr who wrecked the party to save us from ourselves. Every time somebody questioned her, she got more certain. Someone asked what year she gave the baby up, and she said 1 year, then said a different year when pressed. Someone asked where, and she named a city, then said it was too painful to talk about. Every hole she papered over with grief, and grief made people stop asking. Then Sevda spoke. She had gone quiet while everyone else was crying, and it turned out she had been quiet because she was thinking. She said, "Odalis, you say you are Bari's birth mother." My mother said, "I am." Sevda said, "Then tell me his birthday." My mother said, "Well, I gave him up, so I would not know the exact." Sevda said, "A mother knows the day she gave birth. You just told this room a mother knows her own child by feeling. So tell me the day you felt him come into the world." My mother named a month. Sevda said, "Wrong. Not even the right season. You do not know his birthday because you were not there." I was. I have his birth papers at home, with my name printed on them, from the hospital, from the country we lived in, with the doctor's name and everything on it. Bari was not adopted. I carried him. I named him. And you have never once been within 1,000 miles of the city where he was born. My mother said, "Papers can be," and Sevda cut straight through her. "Do not. You said a mother feels it. I felt it. You cannot even name the day. You picked my son because your own daughter told you our records were lost in the move, did you not? You thought nobody could prove it either way, so you could throw doubt on us and let the poison stick even if you were never proven right." My mother's noble face cracked right down the middle. Bari said, "That is exactly what she did. She used the one gap in my life that she knew about." He turned to her and said, "You made yourself my mother, in front of all these people to break us up, and you did not even know when I was born." My mother tried the grief one more time. She put her hands over her face and sobbed, but nobody was buying it. I watched the room turn. Women who had been crying for her 10 minutes earlier were now looking at her like a stranger had wandered in off the street. I did not say another word to her that day. I walked her to the door and opened it and waited. She kept trying to explain. I kept waiting. She left, but I knew it was not over because my mother does not lose quietly. She regroups. She finds a new angle. 2 days later, she called me crying, asking to meet for coffee, saying she needed to explain herself. I should have said no. I was tired in a way I had never been tired before, and underneath the tired was that small, stupid hope that watching the room turn on her had finally cracked something open. Bari was on the couch when I picked up my keys, and he looked at me with a careful, worn-out expression and said, "She is not calling to apologize. She is calling to reload." I said, "I know, I probably know, but I need to hear it so I can decide once and for all." He did not try to stop me. He just told me to call him if I needed him. She was already at the coffee shop when I got there, at a small table by the window, and the first thing I noticed was how small she looked. Not performing small, actually shrunken. Plain shirt, no makeup, hair pulled back, the face of someone who had not slept. Her hands shook when she picked up the menu. She ordered tea and could barely get the words out, and then she said, "I do not know what came over me. I think I am losing my mind. I think something is wrong with me. I need help." Her voice broke and she covered her mouth, and I felt the pull. That deep hole a daughter feels when her mother is hurting, even when her mother is the reason for all of it. There was no audience. It was just us, and there was nobody left for her to perform for, and that is exactly why I believed it. She cried quietly, nothing like the shower, and said, "I just do not want to lose you. You are all I have." I asked her why then. Why stand up in a room full of people and say a thing like that? She wiped her face with a napkin and said, "I was scared. I was not thinking. I know it was wrong. I know Bari is not my son. I only wanted the wedding to slow down so I could catch my breath. You are moving so fast and I feel like I am being left behind." Hearing her admit out loud that she made it up felt like a step. I sat with it. She said she had not slept, that she kept replaying the shower, that she saw everyone's faces when she closed her eyes. Against every smart thought in my head, I reached across the table and said, "Mom, I love you. We can work on this, but the wedding is happening. Bari is who I am choosing, and I need you to accept that." She nodded and squeezed my hand, and her grip was warm and tight, and she said, "I just want to be part of your life." I squeezed back. I paid. She hugged me in the parking lot, and it was the kind of hug that feels like it means something, and I drove home lighter than I had felt in weeks. Bari was at the counter making dinner when I came in. I told him she had apologized for real this time, that she admitted she made the whole thing up. He did not argue. He did not say I told you so. He nodded and went back to the pan, and I could see he did not believe a word of it, and loved me enough not to fight me about it that night. 2 days later, Graciela called. Her voice had that tight, careful sound it gets when she is working hard not to be angry, and she said, I need you to hear this from me before you hear it from anyone else. Your mother has been calling everyone in the family, non-stop, since the morning after your coffee. I said, calling them about what? She said, she is telling people you forced that apology out of her. She is telling them you threatened to cut her off if she did not take it back. She is telling them she still believes what she said about Bari, and that you are choosing a stranger over your own blood, and that his family has turned you against her. I could not speak. Graciela kept going. She called me. She called your cousins. She called your uncle. She tells each one something a little different, but the shape is always the same. The apology was not real. You made her do it, and she is the victim. Everything I had felt in that parking lot collapsed at once. The shaking hands, the quiet tears, the warm hug. It was a better show than the shower precisely because it was small and private and looked honest. She sat across from me and told me she was sorry, and then she went home and got on the phone and kept the lie breathing through the back door while I thought we were healing. I hung up and sat on the edge of my bed for a long time. Bari came in, saw my face, and did not ask. He just sat down next to me. I said, you were right. She was calling to reload. And that was the moment I stopped hoping. I called Il, my oldest friend, the one person who had watched my mother operate for 15 years. He listened all the way through without interrupting, and then he said, your mother is not just lying. She is running a campaign. She is lobbying. Then he said the thing that made it all click. She calls people one at a time.